Donc, bonjour tout le monde, bienvenue à cette causerie CELAT-IPAC avec Sergio Moraes. Je vais vous le présenter brièvement. Sergio est professeur à la faculté d'architecture et d'urbanisme de l'Université fédérale de Santa Catarina au Brésil, où il enseigne le développement régional et urbain. Il est titulaire d'un diplôme en architecture et urbanisme de l'Université presbytérienne Mackenzie, ainsi que d'une maîtrise et d'un doctorat en architecture et urbanisme de l'Université de Sao Paulo. Il a en outre effectué un stage postdoctoral à l'École normale supérieure de Paris. S'intéressant à la préservation du patrimoine et des paysages culturels, il s'est également spécialisé dans la restauration des monuments à Rome. Il est membre permanent du Shrinking Cities International Research Network, développant les recherches sur la mobilité démographique et ses effets sur le territoire. Professeur invité à l'Institut du patrimoine culturel de l'Université Laval à l'automne 2022, il nous présente aujourd'hui ses travaux sur le thème Parc du Patrimoine de la pêche dans le sud du Brésil, la mise en valeur du paysage culturel et le renforcement de l'identité de pêcheur comme possibilité de développement territorial. Merci Sergio.
Okay. Bonjour à tous. Je suis désolé pour non parler français dans mon présentation parce que mon vocabulaire en français c'est très limité. J'ai une mission pour parler l'anglais. I feel more comfortable speaking English. Okay. Okay. Thank you for the presentation. And this work I will present here comes from a request from some municipalities in Brazil that they are very worried about not exactly the municipality, but some people, some organizations that have links with the municipalities about the situation of the fishers. And also the how the lakes in the region are being deprived of their landscape characteristics. So I have a student, a master student that works in the municipality that comes to talk to me, and if he can set up a project to study and somehow try to help the municipality with a project, with a viable project in the area. So, so is that. I am an architect and I work with territorial development, regional planning, urban planning. So my approach is a territorial approach, even though I will deal with social and cultural issues in the project. Okay. Okay. So. Okay, just to the localization, we are in Brazil, in the southern Brazil, in the state of Santa Catarina, and more exactly in the center-south coast. And here I have an image from Google, forward south. This big island is about 40 kilometers long, is the capital of the state. There is the city of Florianopolis, and in the island, Santa Catarina Island, and about 50-60 kilometers south, we have these two municipalities of Garopaba and Imbituba. So this region is known as lake region because the several lagoons we find in this area. In Garopaba, we have the lagoon of Garopaba, is a big one, is quite separated from the Lagoa de Ibirapuera, that is composed by four sectors, four different sectors before arrive in the sea. in the Atlantic Ocean here. Just to, okay. Okay, this map shows where the oldest communities were located once, no? But unfortunately, they did not exist anymore as a community. They, by the time all the territory around the lagoons was occupied by a very bad and incomplete urbanization, a very sprawled urbanization. I think in the first here we can see how this urbanization takes place around the lagoons. So the communities, the former communities, are completely dispersed. There are no landmarks that show where were these communities. But we have a very the pictures are always present since the foundation of this village. This village actually starts with the hunting to the whales, and there were a particular farm of whales to process the meat, the bones, the fat, and everything. And this is the origin of this place on the coast. And after the fishers, that one comes from Azores, as I painted before, and also the indigenous traditions. The fish focus the fish of fins and mullets in the lagoon, in the ocean, in the both. So we have some structures like canoes ranch spotted in all the place in the coast, and in the lagoons we have another more teeny structures like winches and jetties, and also some warehouse. Okay. So, in our first glance to the region, we find some problems that we have to deal, talking with some people in the municipalities. And first, even though we have some protection in the areas where the whales are in some periods of the year, there are a marine park protected, but the artisanal fishers and the structures have no any kind of protections. They're not municipal protections or state protections or federal protections. So the cultural landscapes also is under threat because the privatization of the banks around the lagoons. So we have a very big problem with the privatization, not only for the speculation, real estate speculation, but also because the pollution that this speculation causes, and in the pollution make the fisheries, the fishes diminish the fishes in the lagoon. Another problem is the dispersion and the reduction of the fishing communities. As they are not concentrated in a place, they exchange different of the fishes of in the ocean, that sometimes of the years they gather around the canoes ranch to because are bigger canoes, and they have a community that goes there. In the lagoon, they are very individualist. They have their own structures for small canoes and different together, have a place together. And always the new generations are not interested anymore for fishing. They prefer work in the tourist economy than rather than in the fisheries. And also a lack of a regional coordination for territorial development and economic development because of the, in Brazil, we have the institutionalized powers are the municipality, the state, and the federation. So we not have like, I don't know exactly in Canada, but in France, we have a very strong regional government management. Yeah. And in Brazil, we have this lack of administration in a regional aspect. So, among others, and so after this quick review about the problems, we understand that a project should be a very interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary and deal with culture, economy, environment, and territorial development. And of course, we try to understand where we should move to connect and link all the specters within a project. You know? So I set up this conceptual map, a kind of to try myself understand how I can connect to what I'm dealing with, and of course, I'm dealing with the territory and territoriality. Appears after the understanding of this, because the protected territory we can see around the world a continuous territory. No? Some exceptions, there is some exceptions, but and so in this case of the communities in around the lagoon is very fragmented communities, and how to set up a unit for protection of this separate community or separate structures in a vast territory. And so we think in a park, Parc du Patrimoine is a cultural park, actually. So, and this cultural park is not exactly a territorial park, it's a concept. A concept where this immaterial, material, cultural heritage should be in, and the landscape should be in. And so all the knowledge, the traditional artisanal knowledge should be. So we understand that we have to deal with the structures. I put it in French because but the political structures, so that will generate cultural politics and economic politics and territorial politics. So this economic politics will be linked with the fishery and the tourism and the traditional fishery, and the structural politics had to pass by the master plan of the municipality, the plan director, the management, the development, and also the cultural politics will have to embrace all the heritage we have in the area. So, and this helped me to, as few words, to go through the bibliography review. So I have some of that in this whole table. See, so it is important to see that I try to looking for bibliography and artisanal communities, cultural ecosystem services, territorial development, cultural landscape, parks, immaterial heritage, territorial tourism. So I try find a way and try connect the bibliography in the first moment, because this work is just in the beginning. We start to do something in Brazil, then I come here and I try to develop the ideas here. And as a method, we start, we don't have funds to develop that. We have 3 scholarships for graduate students that are right now they are, I hope, they are working in the geographic information system software, the GIS software. And in the first moment, we are mapping the public and private land around the lagoons, because we have to understand how the ownership situation, if there are some areas that under some preservation laws. And of course, we count with data from the municipalities and from the Environment Secretary of the States. And another thing that's important, that the Navy, the Marine owns the right of all places, the front water, and ocean, lagoons, river, and they decide to sell or not sell these public areas, or if they make these areas able to other utilization or any other utilization. So we have a political disputes between marine and municipality and other stakeholders. And the second point that we start to collect the data is from the census, because by the census we can find where the fishers family are in that dispersed in that sprawled urbanization, because we have the data when the census asked the main income comes from which activity your main incomes come from. So we are trying right now, we are collecting this data. And we start to do a survey in the lake, in the lagoon. We navigate actually in this as a test of our our survey. We navigate around this lagoon, trying to identify and putting the GPS where the structures like the rings and the other structures, the ranks, because as the lagoon have more water and less water, depending on the tide and the opening of the river mouth that links to the sea. So we start to do that, and we pretended the next month to navigate around the lagoons, but these data.
The fishermen own this structure. They own
Yes,
it.
yes.
It's there.
The land is not there.
No.
They don't have the ownership of the land.
But the structure.
But yes, they own the structures. And that I said, different of the structures in the beach, in the ocean beach. These structures are individual, it's particular, it's private, so it's private. The structure, It's true. Okay. So, the idea is to analyze all this material we collected from different sources and try to define some criteria that inland to check by the land, these structures, the access for these structures we observed by the lagoon. We try in the first moment, we think in 4 criteria to establish what we call the social environmental neighborhood units. The concept of neighborhood unit is a traditional concept in urbanism that comes from the 19th century. But we try here to expand this concept and try to understand the unit, the social environmental unit, with a presence of cultural and landscape structures, density of inhabitants living from fishing. The availability of public or marketable land is another point that I have to mention later, and recognizable environmental structures. So, what we want to do? For instance, I just take one place in the lagoon here in the South Lagoon to understand. We have here the white star, the presence of the structures of fishing, the very well maintained structures, the presence of availability of public land here in the yellow stars, and some we have to confirm, because we just did a first incursion in this area, so we have to check this data, but we understand that have some families living, of fishing families living in this area, and we have this environmental structures very well marked in the place. We have a sub-lagoon here, we have the river that very recognizable river, little river arriving on the coast of the lagoon. And so, what is the purpose? The purpose is to requalify this area, creating some landmarks, so some institutional buildings that can facilitate the community gathering. So community buildings, neighborhood associations, things like that, and also some social housing for the poor families that still fish and have no conditions to live near the lagoon. They are, because of the speculation, real estate speculation and the tourism market, they are going always far and far from the water. And establish the public recreational areas with cultural elements enhanced in this public cultural areas. Even the banks near these fishing structures can be interesting areas, recreational areas, and that will valorize the landscape and the activity of fishing. And the public access visibility, because in this kind of urbanization, everything is the same. Every street looks like the other street. And so you have no reference to navigate in this territory, understand that territory is important, has a cultural importance. So the idea is a very urbanistic idea, is to requalify this place, but nothing on these cultural elements that serve as an anchor to this kind of development. Okay, I will be back here later. No, it's okay. This is important to say that in Brazil we have very powerful urban legislation, and the master plan of the municipalities is the more important law to deal with the territorialities and the ownership of the land. So in the law, there is an instrument, a legal instrument, that allow the municipality negotiate the land with the private ownership. So with the transfer of building rights, or also the right of first refusal. I don't know if in France the préemption is the word that. So that the administration has the right to buy the land when it goes to the market, and other instruments that facilitate. For example, even though we don't have a public land in that area that have a density of cultural elements, we can negotiate with this owner to get this land to that social and cultural purpose. So, in regional terms, I think we are the Ibirapuera is about 8.5 kilometers from the downtown and the center of Tuba city, where we have museums, several museums, and the beach and other natural landmarks, and is about 14 kilometers from the center of Garopaba city, and where we have a very nice landscape, the way the roads to this road is very interesting as scenery, and so I think that corridor, I mean, should be very well managed. If we can insert the unit, the neighborhood unit social environmental, that is not one or two, but we can discover new units along the way. This could be, okay, this is just an example, but it could be anywhere we are. So, in short, so just to, we don't deal with a limit of the park or of the unit, because the limit is the most difficult, establish a limit is the most difficult problem in urbanism and geography, and so we don't want to close the park within a limit. The park is an idea, I agree, it's a concept. So, and this idea, this park is a cultural park, anchored in the significant cultural and landscape element. And all this requalification or the enhancement of these elements should be possible applying the law that already exists within the Brazilian urban legislation. So the idea, just to finish this, where is that? Okay, the territorial system that I'm calling the Parc du Patrimoine, the pêche, is actually opposite what the UNESCO Global Geopark says, because they said that the geoparks are single unified geographic areas where sites and landscape of international geological significance are managed with a holistic concept of protection, education, and sustainable development. The idea of cultural park almost fits in this, but don't fit totally because it's not unified geographic areas. Our unit is a set of several units of neighborhood, social, environmental, and cultural, is the concept is inside this, that can bring elements to think the territory in another way. I think, merci. But this is what I have to show you. I hope that can generate some ideas and discussions. Okay. Merci.